All right, let's talk about a story that takes a genre we all know, a genre we love, and then just completely flips the game board over. It kicks off with a tune you've definitely heard before, but trust me, by the end, it's playing a whole different kind of music.
And yeah, it starts exactly where you'd expect. You've got your world in peril, a desperate call for help, heroes yanked from another reality, the whole shebang. It's that classic, comfortable setup, you know? Kind of like putting on your favorite old sneakers. But what if one of those sneakers was secretly a rocket ship? That's kind of where we're headed. So, we're diving into what looks like a super familiar fantasy world. We're talking heroes, monsters, and a whole world that needs saving. Classic stuff. And here are all the pieces, laid out right in front of us. You've got your 4 cardinal heroes. You know the drill: sword, spear, bow, and the shield. They get summoned to a medieval kingdom that's in big trouble from these things called the waves of calamity. And, of course, the whole world runs on game logic. We're talking status screens, levels, classes, you get the picture. So far, it's checking all the standard boxes, right? But this is where the story screeches to a halt and takes a hard left. We meet our main character, Lyraena, the shield hero. And right from the get-go, you realize she's not just playing by different rules, she's looking at the rulebook and asking, wait, why does this even exist? And this is the core of it right here. You expect the typical hero, right? An underdog, maybe a gamer, who has to grind and level up. But Lyraena? Nope. She's from what's called a post-scarcity society. Leveling up is, well, it's a pretty pointless concept when your power is already, for all intents and purposes, absolute. She doesn't need to find a party to get stronger. She's busy questioning the very fabric of this new reality. This quote just nails her perspective. So she gets this legendary shield, and she can feel its power. But to someone who deals with, like, the fundamental forces of the universe, it's nothing. The quote says it's like a candle attempting to hold back a supernova. And that's not her being arrogant. It's just a fact. And that fact is what kicks off the entire mystery of the story. And that brings us to the real conflict. It's not about the monsters. It's about the design. The real enemy here is just sheer, baffling inefficiency.
So here's the question that really drives everything. Lyraena's looking at these waves of calamity, and something is just wrong. She calculates the energy it takes to rip open these dimensional rifts, and it's astronomical. We're talking like the output of a star. So why on earth would you use that much power just to spit out monsters that are, let's be honest, weaker than common bandits? It makes absolutely no sense.
And this quote right here is basically the story's mission statement. It's like igniting a wildfire simply to light a single candle. For Lyraena, this isn't a fight against some great evil. It's an offense to logic. It's wasteful. It is profoundly inelegant. And that's the real villain she's here to figure out. So yeah, the real battle isn't about fighting monsters, it's about figuring out this deeply flawed system. This story isn't about grinding to beat the next big boss. It's a mystery. It's about deconstruction, about asking why this whole broken setup even exists. And if you're someone who loves a good puzzle, this is going to be right up your alley. And of course, when you have a premise this different, the story gets a whole lot bigger. We're going way beyond the battlefield and into a world of real consequences. I mean, think about it. You get some serious diplomatic fallout when the summoned hero just refuses to play along. You've got these cool, covert sci-fi operations happening behind the scenes, totally unknown to the fantasy locals. It leads to these incredible, unlikely alliances and some really powerful stories of personal redemption. It's not just a mystery, it's about the politics of these two completely different worlds smashing into each other.
Which really gets us to what this story is. It looks like fantasy, it talks like fantasy, but it's really a sci-fi mystery wearing a fantasy trench coat. And that's exactly what makes it so, so good.
And here's the secret sauce behind that sci-fi core: the culture. That's where Lyraena is from. Just try to picture this: a hyper-advanced galactic civilization where things like poverty, sickness, even scarcity itself, they're basically solved problems. They have technology that's pretty much indistinguishable from magic. But the most important thing about them, they have this deep philosophical hatred for inefficiency. And that's the lens our hero is using to look at this whole mess. So really, the story isn't about if the hero can win. I mean, let's be real. With her background, of course she can. The real question, the thing that pulls you through the entire narrative, is why? Why does this crazy, wasteful, and honestly kind of cruel game exist at all? And that's really the final thought here. What if a hero's greatest weapon wasn't a sword, or a spell, or even a legendary shield, but just a question? The right question. That's the idea at the very heart of dimensional inelegance. And it's what makes this story something special.